Welcome to the 8th Annual State Bar of Michigan Business Law Symposium, the business of the lawsuit. In our first act, Mark Rossman will deliver the symposium opening statement, followed by remarks from Business Law Section President, Professor Michael Molitor.
All right, welcome everyone. Welcome to the 8th Annual Business Law Symposium. That's aptly named the business of the lawsuit. What an incredible turnout we have tonight for an event which Lawyers Weekly recently called a flagship program, the flagship program of the business law section. Their words, not mine. And did they ever hit the nail on the head? I mean, does it really get any more flagship than what we have going on here tonight? There's no question about it. Tonight could not be more flagship. As I look down the roster of registrants that we have here tonight, it's a veritable who's who of the business litigation bar that we've gathered here tonight in this historic building. So thank you all very much for buying a ticket and trudging through the cold snow and ice to get here when you could be snuggled up with a fuzzy blanket in front of the fire at home with a legal brief, watching the Olympics, billing a final 3/4 of an hour at the end of the day. Instead, you're here at the beautiful Gem Theater. You know, this theater, the Gem, used to be 5 blocks away before it was moved in 1997 to make way for Comerica Park, giving it a spot, actually, in the Guinness Book of World Records for being the heaviest building moved on wheels. Can anybody guess how many pounds it weighs? Surprise. $5.5 million. I think I'm at a negotiation or something. 5.5 million pounds, or it could be a negotiation in England, I guess. Could that not be metaphorically applied to say what the things we do, like winning jury trials or securing settlements between warring business partners, both being like moving a 5.5 million pound movie theater? We all kind of know that feeling, the pressure that we feel as a business litigator. I'd like to thank the Gem personnel and staff for hosting us for a second year. The symposium, technically now 2 years in a row here, is in residency. This turnout is great. There's so many lawyers here whose skills and method I have admired and learned from in the now quarter century that I've been at this business of business lawsuits. And what a serious honor it is to see you all here tonight. The business of the lawsuit, the title of this program, it probably should have been more technically entitled The Business of Business Lawsuits and the Business Lawyer, but we shortened it. The business of the lawsuit. The business of what we do and who we are as a class of lawyers, which is great because the subject matter becomes easy, fun, and altogether narcissistic. It's about us. We are the subject matter of tonight, and we will put ourselves under the microscope. We will be talking about something we don't get to talk about much, our own business, because we spend so much time minding other people's business in what we do. But tonight, let's mind our own and nobody else's business. And I mean, unless you want to slip out and bill a quarter hour in the coat room responding to an email or two, that's fine. We are not only set our personal record for symposium ticket sales tonight, but we're going to cover so many topics in the next 4 hours that hopefully it will make your head spin. And if the quick flip 115 slide PowerPoint topic change format with countdown clocks, very complicated, we are going to follow tonight doesn't make your head spin, please know that the bar opens at 5 o'clock. It's opening a little bit late, but we promise it'll open. And it'll be open throughout the night. And I'm not talking about the State Bar. I think that bar closes at 5 p.m., but our bar remains open until 9 o'clock, and the food remains until it runs out. So please tip the staff generously and eat plentifully. But remember, if you drink, don't drive, and if you drive, don't drink. So be that as it may, this year, I'm telling you, we have one of the best programs that we've had so far. And that's saying a lot because we've had some incredible programs going all the way back to 2019. Which is why they call it the 8th Annual Symposium. Over the years, we've covered topics from corporate oppression and fiduciary breach, trial practice, how to build and run a law firm, expert witnesses, alternative dispute resolution, among others, or inter alia if you prefer the Latin. And what is really cool is that all of these programs, all of the content that has been recorded, and it's in the Symposium archives on the program website. And we have over 30 hours of material. I use it with clients sometimes to explain things, as I used Bill Winsten's 2020 presentation recently with a client on corporate usurpation in a mediation context to explain why the victory on that claim could very well be Pyrrhic. It's a great segment that's on the 2020 archives. Actually, there's a lot of law students here tonight from Wayne State, and again, we thank the Wayne State Business Law Journal for co-sponsoring this program and promoting it within the law school. We thank them for coming, and it makes a great opportunity for the business lawyers who are here to connect with the law students who are passionate enough about this field of business law that they come here in the thick of their semester to hear about it. This program will also be cataloged in the archives in a few weeks, for which we must extend a very special thank you to Forts Legal. I think most of us in the room know Forts Legal for their litigation support. They've contributed to this program and the post-production tech for us every year since it started, and they just do great work, so thank you to Forts. Thank you to D-Business and Our Magazine for partnering with the Symposium and promoting it with us year after year. Both excellent publications, and they should be read cover to cover every month. Thank you to PJ Productions out of Nashville, which did the program art, website, and marketing, and whose voiceover you will hear out of the speakers above throughout the program. So thank you so much to the presenters, the production staff, and the other people who volunteer their time so generously to make this massive event happen every year. They have worked very hard, and they are too numerous to name in this short time I'm allotted, except that I'm going to give a special shout out to my law firm, Linda, Isra, Kelsey, Max, Noah, Michaela, and Cora, for devoting countless hours to the production of this program. The team does a great job, just like they do when they prepare for trial. Thank you to the State Bar of Michigan and the leadership of the Business Law section for supporting the program year after year. It's really a great section. As president of the Business Law section, Professor Michael Molitor will explain in a minute. If you're not a member, you should absolutely join, and maybe even become active in one of the committees, like the Privately Held Businesses Forum. Now, before I go backstage and get to work, let me just run through a few logistics. So, this is a symposium, it's not a lecture, so feel free to have fun, move around. We've got pit seating down here, which is great, but if it gets too rowdy, we've also got balcony seating upstairs with plush chairs. It's all general admission, so you can explore. We're taking breaks between the programs to reconfigure the stage and for you to stock up on beverages and food and network, which will be available throughout the program. So please put that to good use and get your money's worth. And finally, throughout the night, we'll be posting pictures, videos, and compilations on social media, and the QR code to let you access those socials are on the last page of the program. So check that out and feel free to post anything cool that you got. Other than that, sit back, enjoy, and have a wonderful night. And thank you again. And now please welcome Professor Michael Molitor, President of the Business Law Section, a great man and great lawyer and a great leader of and servant to our section.
Let's give Mark a round of applause. I know he thanked everybody, but he does a ton of work on this, and so he deserves a lot of thanks for that. As Mark said, my name is Mike Molitor. Currently, I'm a professor at Cooley Law School. I've been doing that for about 22 years now. Before that, I was at Warner Norcross and Judd over in Grand Rapids for about 10 years doing business law. But more importantly for our purposes tonight, I am chair of the business law section, at least for the next 10 months. Not that anybody's counting the days on that or anything. But show of hands, I bet if I asked how many lawyers do we have, everybody would raise their hand, right? Okay. How many of you are business law section members? Okay, all right. It's not too bad. I got a little bit of recruiting to do, it looks like. Of those of you who raised your hand about being business law members, how many of you are actively involved in the business law section? Okay, I see Ian, I see a few others here. Okay, so I got a lot more recruiting to do. Let me tell you some more about the business law section. So we got some, keep going on slides over here. Okay, so. Oh yeah, okay, I got, I see. Anyway, I believe we're the second largest section of the State Bar of Michigan. We've got over 3,000 members. Some of you are here, some of you I'm going to recruit tonight. So some things that the business law section does. If you're a business law section member, 3 times a year you get the wonderful Business Law Journal. The Michigan Business Law Journal has great timely articles on business law topics, updates from Lara, things like that. So that's our flagship publication. But we also do a number of additional events, right? Not only do we have the privately held business forum, which is in our 8th time this? Yep. Yeah, 8th? Okay, so it's going strong, but a number of other events. We've got the LLC and partnership section, along with the in-house counsel section, are doing an event in May. We've got the Business Law Institute that's held once a year over in Grand Rapids. It's an all-day event. We have great speakers, numerous topics, also case law updates, legislation updates, updates from Lara, and then timely topics from various speakers. We're going to be, every 2 years, we do 2 business boot camps for new lawyers. So dates haven't been set, but it's looking like November in the Detroit area and January over in the Grand Rapids area. Those of you at firms who've got some new, new associates, think about sending them to the business boot camps, right? And we also do a number of other events from time to time in connection with ICL or on our own, and tell you about some of the section committees as well. But before we get to that, just another slide over here. So again, my name's Mike Molitor. I am the chair. Carey Leahy at Bodman is the vice chair. Pat Haddad over at Kerr Russell is the treasurer. Laura Johnson at Butts Along is the secretary this year. It's a 4-year rotation, so once I'm done being chair, Carey will move up to chair, Pat will move up to vice chair, et cetera. So that's the executive council. But we also have executive committee. We also have council. Normally there's 15 members. There's currently a vacancy, but you can see some pretty impressive people here who are on the council. You may know some of them. And they all serve 3-year terms, all right? So maybe that's not the most interesting to you who's on the Business Law Council. What might the business law section mean to you? Well, we have a whole bunch of committees, right? So many that I couldn't even fit them on one slide, all right? So whatever your interest in business law, whatever your practice area, we've probably got you covered with a committee. Now, all these committees do events, but they also do additional things. I'll mention a few of those. So business courts and commercial litigation, Doug Toring is the chair of that. As you might guess, that's focusing on commercial litigation. They also were successful in helping a bill get through the Michigan House that will clarify that shareholder oppression lawsuits are always going to be heard in front of the business courts rather than the regular circuit court. The Corporate Laws Committee, Justin Klimko at Butts Along and I are co-chairs of that. One thing that the Corporate Laws Committee does every so often is work on amendments to the Michigan Business Corporation Act to keep it updated to what Delaware is doing, to keep it up with the Model Business Corporation Act. It's always a bit of an adventure getting it through the Michigan legislature, but we're hoping that the current round of amendments that we have will see the light of day very soon. Debtor and creditor rights, bankruptcy, receiverships, things like that, financial institutions, in-house counsel. In-house counsel is an interesting one. We do sometimes get the impression that the in-house lawyers are worried about joining the business law section for fear that all of the lawyers at firms are going to hit on them for business. But it's a great committee. We're getting that rebooted. They're going to be, as I said, co-hosting the event in May with the LLC and Partnership Committee. Law schools, LLCs and partnerships, they're hosting that event in May. Another thing that they're working on is updating the Michigan LLC statute, which hasn't been amended or updated in a long time. So, people like Lucas Kellyantakis over is working on that. And then we have a number of other committees, nonprofit corporations, privately held business forum, which of course Mark is the chair of that, securities, the UCC, and then from time to time we have ad hoc committees working on amicus briefs and things like that. So in addition to the committees, we have a number of what are called directorships that mainly do functions rather than practice areas or substantive areas. So legislative review, nominating, programs, publications, such as I mentioned, the Michigan Business Law Journal, things like that. So that's a little bit about the business law section. And thanks to Mark for having me here. I suppose he had to because we are a co-sponsor of the event, so he had to give me some time to make a plug for the business law section. I will just leave you with a pitch to get involved, all right? So if you're not already a member, next time your dues renewal notice comes out, sign up for the business law section. It's $50. It was $35 for the longest time, decades, I think. We upped it to $50 a few years ago because of inflation. I argued for $49, but people thought that I was joking about that, so it's $50 and blame me for that extra dollar. But get involved with the business law section and don't just become a member. All right, particularly you younger folks out there, I see a lot of you up on the balcony, get involved. It's a great way to meet your fellow business law geeks and learn a lot more about the area, make some connections on that. There's all sorts of opportunities. We'd be, thrilled to get you involved. So thank you for that. And I believe the bar is probably open at this point. So thank you.